Hey guys, this is Richie coming at you with another online Bible study video. It was so long in between the videos I kind of felt bad, so I'm going to do a little back-to-back action for you. The last video that we had was over John 8:12 through 30, where Jesus talked about being the light of the world. So today we're going to continue right behind that and do John 8:31 all the way through 47. So there's another one, another big one here where Jesus is talking about truth. And truth is kind of one of those big concepts that you would think would be a simple thing to understand, but for some reason we have a hard time. So if you got your Bibles, go ahead and grab those, and we'll go ahead and read John 8:31 through 47. So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And they answered him, "We are offspring of Abraham, and we have never been enslaved to anyone. How can you say you will become free?" Jesus answered, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The Son remains forever. So if the Son sets you free, then you will be free indeed. I know that you are offspring of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me because my word finds no place in you. I speak of what I have seen with my Father, and you do what you have heard from your father." They answered him, "Abraham is our father." And Jesus said to them, "If you were Abraham's children, you would be doing the works Abraham did. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. This is not what Abraham did. You were doing the works your father did." They said to him, We were not born of sexual immorality. We have one Father, even God." And Jesus answered them, "If God were your Father, then you would love me, for I came from God and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot hear my word. You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there's no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar, the father of lies. But because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. Which one of you convicts me of sin? If I tell the truth, why do you not believe me? Whoever is of God hears the words of God. The reason why you do not hear them is because you are not of God." So there's obviously a lot to unpack there, so we'll go ahead and get right to it. Like I said before, the concept of truth is something that is, a difficult concept apparently. We live in a society and we live in a culture where truth is a relative thing. Truth is different for you than it is for me. If you go to, let's say you step onto a college campus and you speak to a non-Christian professor or student anywhere, philosophically they will tell you and they will believe wholeheartedly that there's no such thing as absolute truth, even though the statement is completely 100% false. The concept that there is no absolute truth is ridiculous. If someone says there's no absolute truth, you can ask them, is that true? When, the statement that you just said, is that true? Is that the one absolute truth, that there is no truth? It's kind of like a chicken and egg thing. You could go on and on and on, trying to figure out what in the world's going on with that. But this whole thought of truth is something that is huge in our culture right now. See, because what has happened is we've gotten into this place where everything is true to its own thing. If you believe in New Ageism and you believe that if you just get right with the universe and you become one with nature, you can go to heaven. Okay, that's fine. If that's true for you, that's a relative truth. That's fine. There is no absolute truth. But if you believe this, then let's say you believe in Hinduism and you believe that you can enter in through nirvana, through reincarnation. I'm sorry, it's Buddhism, but if that's true for you, that's okay. It's this whole coexist type of thought process that truth is only true for the person who believes it, whereas that's not the truth. That's not true. That's not the way the world works. There are two different types of truth. There are relative truths, there are objective truths. There's subjective and relative truths, and then there are objective truths. Relative truths and subjective truths are truths that work for you personally, that work for me personally. But then there are objective truths that are absolute. They are foundation. Great way to think of it is a subjective truth is if you say, let's say you're sitting in my office and you say it's hot in here, or you say it's cold in here. That is a subjective truth. Now, you could say it's cold in here. I'd say it's hot in here. I'm always going to say it's hot, no matter what, just because I'm always hot. That is a subjective truth. To you, you were saying it's hot in here. That is true. If I'm saying it's cold in here, yes, that is true because that is a subjective truth. Now, if we go and look at the thermostat, and the thermostat says that it's 70 degrees, that is a 100% absolute objective truth. It's completely true, and it's night and day, black and white. It's undebatable that it is 70 degrees in this office. Now, you may think it's hot, I may think it's cold, but this is the objective truth. So our opinion is the subjective, and then the objective is the absolute, what is actually going on. But what happens is in our culture is we believe, we are told by society and by culture that there's no such thing as this objective truth, that everything is relative, everything is subjective, and nothing is absolute. But when you look at the Bible deals in absolute truths, and the Bible deals in objective truths. Now, here's the deal. Every religion deals in absolute and objective truths. Islam deals in objective, absolute truth. They will tell you, there is no God but Allah. Muhammad was his prophet, and you have to follow those things. In their mind, that is an objective truth, and not in everybody's mind. It's complete fact. That is an objective truth. Now, if you go to Judaism, their objective truth is that God is the God of Abraham and of Moses, and they're still waiting for Messiah to come and save them from their sins. That is their objective truth. So you see, you have all these things here, but the thing is, which one do you go to? Which one do you go to? Now, for me, and for the people who believe in the Bible, like the Bible that we have with the Old Testament and the New Testament, through looking at all of the religions and looking at all the evidence that comes to it, I believe that obviously there is, mounds and mounds and mounds more evidence for, Christianity, for the Bible, for Old Testament, New Testament, the fact, all of the historical and archaeological evidence that Jesus lived, that Jesus died on the cross, that Jesus rose from the dead, scientific evidence that God did create the world in 7 days or 6 days, as Genesis says, all the science that adds up to that. It's, those are truths that are there that are objective truths. Now, obviously, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity cannot all be the same. They contradict each other, so therefore they cannot all be true. So that's another problem with this whole relative subjective truth, where everybody's truth is right. If something contradicts itself, then they both can't be true. If you walk outside and see that the sky is green, and I walk outside and say that the sky is blue, we are contradicting ourselves, so therefore we cannot both be right. So either the sky is green, the sky is blue, or we're both wrong. So it's the same thing here with Islam and Judaism and Christianity, and really in any religion. You could throw anything in there. You can throw atheism and agnosticism in there, because that is a religion of itself. And they, atheists and agnostics claim to be, anti-religion, but they are a religion all themselves. They have, preachers and teachers all themselves. And honestly, it takes more faith to be an atheist or an agnostic than it does to be, to believe Islam or Judaism or Christianity anyway. So each one of these things, those are objective truths, but the thing is, only one of them can be absolutely true, or none of them, obviously. All of these religions could be false. But what our goal as humans being on this earth is to find out which one that is, and to do everything we can to find the one that is correct, the one that is true, the one that is absolutely true, and follow that to the T. Obviously, being a Church of Christ preacher, I have chosen Christianity, like I said, because of the evidences. So that is a long way around to get to this Jesus talking about truth, because there are several different types of truth and the way you can look at truth. So obviously Jesus deals with absolute, objective truth. So there you go. So Jesus, he if you've been following along, the woman's caught in adultery, and he talks about, I am the light of the world. So this is all during the Feast of Booths. On the last night, they light up these big cauldrons. He says he's the light of the world. So then it says, so then Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him. So these are people who had believed in him. He said, listen, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay. Now, the next part says, they answer him, we're offsprings of Abraham. We've never been enslaved. How can we become free? So this is just the whole thing. These people that he's talking to in this first section here, down through 38. They're like, wait a minute, we are already free. We're a free people, which is kind of funny because when this conversation is actually happening is in the first centuries when Rome is occupying Jerusalem and the whole nation of Israel. So they are under occupation when they say we are not free, which is funny because it's like, no, you're not free. You're not fully free. But you may not be slaves like you were back in Egypt, which, obviously if you look through the whole history of Israel, you see they were slaves in Israel. They were slaves in Babylon, and then obviously with the Medes and the Persians. So they had been enslaved throughout their entire history as a people. But they're basically saying, hey, we're free right now. How can you set us free? But obviously Jesus is talking about a spiritual way. And then he goes on 34 and says, if you practice sin, then you are a slave to sin. And that, and being a human, that's easy to understand. Being someone who has studied the Bible and read the Bible and understood, what sin does to us. Sin is an enslaving thing. If you are caught in, adultery, if you're having an affair, that is something that it slaves you down. You are bound by that. If you're caught up in pornography, you are completely bound by that. If you are, any sin, if you're caught up in idolatry, let's say you put your kids on a pedestal, you put them before God, that is something that you are bound to, and you are a slave to that. And the only way to get liberated from that thing, to get liberated from that sin, is through Christ, obviously. So then he says, so if the Son sets you free, then you are free indeed. Says Jesus saying, if you're set free by the blood of me, through the cross, then you will be free. And he says, I know you're from Abraham, yet all you people are seeking to kill me because my word finds no place in you. He says, I speak what I've seen from the Father, and you do what you've heard from your Father. So here you go in verse 38. That he's talking at the Pharisees now and the religious leaders of the time, and he starts talking about their father. And they say, well, Abraham's our father. Now you have to understand. You have to study Old Testament history to pick up on the fact that Abraham was like their rock star. In Israel, kind of be like George Washington for us as Americans, Abraham Lincoln for us as Americans. But Abraham was their, go-to guy. He was the father of their nation. So they talk about Abraham being the father. So, he's like, if you truly were Abraham's, children, then you wouldn't be trying to kill me, because I'm from God. These are not the things that Abraham did. You're doing the works of your father. So then they say, well, we weren't born of sexual immorality. We only have one father, even God. So they're basically saying, look, we know who our Father is. We're not even worried about that. And this part that says we were not born of sexual immorality, this is the Pharisees going back to the fact that Mary was a virgin and claimed to be a virgin. So either Jesus was born to a virgin or he was born out of wedlock. So they're saying, well, we weren't born of sexual immorality. You were, you were the one that was born of this. You don't even know who your dad is. That's basically what they're saying there. So then they say, we only have one father. Even God is our father, because we are the religious people, and you're just some really bastard is what they're, basically what they're telling him. You were someone who was born of sexual immorality, and you're talking to us about our father and your father. You don't even know who your dad is, but we know who our dad is, and our dad is God. So then Jesus comes back and says, look, if God were your father, then you would love me because I came from him, and I am here because of him. Why don't you understand what I'm saying? But it's because you cannot hear my words. It says you, and he says, listen, you are of your father, who is the devil. So now he's just breaking it down. Now, not only is he saying, look, I'm the Son of God, I am, from the Father God. Not only is he saying that, now he's saying, look, you are from your father, who is the devil. So not only am I from God, you're from Satan. These are fighting words for them. They're ready to get after him now. But then he goes on, he's like, he was a murderer from the beginning, does not stand with truth. There is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar, and he is the father of lies. So that's, because you come from Satan, because you are a son of Satan, and you embody that, you can't understand truth because Satan is the father of lies, and that's why you don't believe me. So then he says, whoever is of God hears the words of God. So the reason you don't hear me is because you're not of God. So, that is huge. Him just throwing it down all over them, and just lighting them up with these truth bombs. Just you are from the devil. You can't understand what I'm saying because you're not of God. And he's speaking here to the religious leaders. So they it is no wonder why they wanted to seek and kill him. There is no. We don't have to try to comprehend why they wanted to crucify him and why they did crucify him. It's a pretty simple thing when you read this and you understand where he's coming from. So he's telling the religious leaders that they are sons of Satan. I mean, that's pretty big thing. So not only is he God, not only is he the Son of God and sent to earth by God to do the will of God, his Father, he's telling them that they are from Satan. So, that is a pretty huge thing. But the main part of these, this passage here obviously is truth, and what is the truth? There is absolute truth. There is, one of these, things are true. It's just our job to figure it out. Obviously we believe wholeheartedly that we have through the Bible the absolute truth, from God, the absolute truth that, Jesus did exist and that he did die on a cross for our sins. So, and then from there, it's our job to help point people to the truth. I think that's a lot of the places where the church misses it is they try to be the truth, and they try to make themselves out to be the truth instead of saying, hey, look, I'm a sinner who's lost. But by the grace of God, I'm saved because of this, because of what's written in this book, because Jesus came down to this earth to save me, and I want to introduce you to him. See, a lot of things that we do wrong in the church are we introduce people to ourselves, and then we try to make it where we can save them instead of introducing them to Jesus, because he's obviously the only one that can save them. So I think that's an important thing. You just got to point to Jesus instead of to ourselves. So there you go. All right, so that's all we got for today. Next time, maybe tomorrow, never know. You'll have to stay tuned. Maybe we'll go verses 48 down through the end of the chapter to verse 9. So chapter 48 down through the end of the chapter. Verse 48. 8:48 through the end of the chapter kind of closes out this entire conversation and the Feast of Booths and all that stuff. So very good. All right, well, that is all we got for today. So we'll look forward to next time. And until then, God bless you guys. We'll see you.